on? All set?
Lisa is
Linda
here, yes.
is here, yeah.
Okay. So why don't we go ahead? We'll get things started. We'll call the meeting to order. Good evening, all. It is 7:32 p.m. on Wednesday.
Marina has to turn on the recording.
I did.
Sorry.
It's okay. We'll start again. It's 7:33 p.m. on Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. This is the meeting of the Municipal Land Use Board of the Borough of River Edge. This meeting of the Municipal Land Use Board of the Borough of River Edge is being held remotely and recorded via Zoom due to Borough Council chambers unavailability and is in compliance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act and associated regulations. Notice of this remote meeting was published in the Bergen Record, posted on the front doors of Borough Hall, and posted on the borough's website. The notice included the dial-in and login information necessary for public participation and access to this meeting remotely. A copy of the agenda for this meeting was made available on the borough's website near the posting of the meeting notice and included the dial-in and login information. During the public comment period of this meeting, if you would like to make a public comment, please press the raise hand button on Zoom or dial *9 on your telephone keypad to raise your hand. The board will address you by name or by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. You may mute and unmute yourself by pressing the microphone icon on Zoom or dialing *6 on your telephone keypad. You must state your name and address clearly prior to making a public comment. With that, I will ask Ms. Steinle to call the roll, please.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Mr. Caslin,
Here.
Mr. Cray,
Here.
Ms. Boland,
Here.
Mr. Gibbons,
Here.
Mr. Pfeffer,
Here.
Mr. Knigo,
Here.
Councilman Glass,
Here.
Mr. Gautier,
Here.
and Mr. Salva.
Here.
All right, also present is our board engineer, Mr. Costa. Our board planner tonight will be Mr. John Zabo from Burgess.
Good
Because
evening.
Mr. Barron's had a conflict, and Mr. Depkin is couldn't make it tonight, so it's just us.
Okay, thank you very much. Our first item on the agenda for this evening is under the approval of minutes. Minutes from our meeting of January 8th, 2025. Draft set of the minutes was circulated to the board prior to this evening's meeting for review. I open it to the board for comment or questions on the draft minutes. There being none, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cray, thank you. Ms. Steinle, do we have anyone who's ineligible to vote on?
Only Ms. Boland, she was absent.
Only Ms. Boland. Okay, well, we'll do a voice vote with the exception of Ms. Boland. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Other than Ms. Boland. Okay, thank you. We're going to adjust the agenda slightly. The topic of discussion, we're going to defer to the end of the meeting. We're going to move on to memorializations. Our first memorialization for this evening is for the appointment of the board engineer for 2025. A draft of the resolution appointing Costa Engineering as the board engineer for 2025 was circulated for the board's review prior to this evening's meeting, and I open it to the board for comments or questions. There being none, I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gautier. Thank you, Mr. Knigo.
And we can just do a voice vote for this.
We'll do a voice vote. Okay. And Ms. Boland is the only one still who's not eligible to vote on this?
Correct.
Okay. So with the exception of Ms. Boland, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Thank you. And our next memorialization for this evening is a resolution for the appointment of board planner for 2025. A draft resolution appointing Burgess Associates was circulated to the board for review prior to this evening's meeting. I open it to the board for comment or questions. There being none, I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gaudier. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cray. All those in favor with the exception of Ms. Boland?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Okay, thank you. Last under memorializations is the appointment of our board attorney for 2025. Draft resolution appointing Cleary, Jacoby, Alfieri, Jacobs LLC as the board attorney for 2025 was circulated for board's review prior to this evening's meeting. I open it to the board for comments or questions on the resolution. There being none, I will look for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gaudier. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. All in favor, other than with the exception of Ms. Boland?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Okay. Moving along, our next agenda item for the evening falls under completeness review. Applicant is Chihuahua Inc. Property is 637 Kinderkamak Road, block 614, lot 8.02. The application seeks site plan approval for retail food establishment. Ms. Stiley?
Yes, thank you. So prior to the meeting, I reviewed the proofs submitted by the applicant's attorney and found them to be sufficient for the board to have jurisdiction over the application tonight. Although that does not directly relate to completeness, I believe the application documents submitted were sufficient.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zabo?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Given the developed nature of the site and the previous approvals that were granted for a similar use, we see no issues with completeness in moving the application forward.
Okay, very good. Mr. Costa?
Certainly, first thing, thank you very much, everybody. Can certainly go forward tonight. Again, it's a change of use, food handler's license. And Mr. Barrett, I want you on your top of your game because we're going to ask you questions about the previous stuff. But I would say you can go forward to the public session, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, sir. Questions from the board on completeness? There being none, I will look for a motion to deem the application complete.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Boland. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pfeffer.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeffer,
Yes.
Mr. Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Glass,
Yes.
Mr. Gautier,
Yes.
and Mr. Salvo.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're now going to move on to the new business section of our agenda. The applicant is Chihuahua Inc. Property is 637 Kinderkamak Road, block 614, lot 8.02. Applicant is seeking site plan approval for a retail food establishment. I see the applicant is here and applicant's counsel, Mr. Barrett. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Caslin.
Do you wish to make any opening statements at this time?
I think just to point out, and I believe that most of the members of the board are aware that this space was formerly occupied by La Toscana, who went out of business a year ago, 2 years ago. And Mr. Hernandez, who is the principal of the applicant, wishes to open a Mexican restaurant. He's here with us this evening to testify as to how the business will be run. I also have with us tonight Mr. Varela, who is the architect. He can talk about the interior renovations that are contemplated. And I think that between the two of them and perhaps Ms. Abril Morales Garcia, who's also affiliated with the operation, may also join in testifying as needed. But I think that, in my mind at least, it's a relatively simple application. we're replacing pizza with Mexican food.
Okay.
It's, to put it in the simplest terms.
Okay, very good. Why don't we go ahead and Ms. Steinle, we'll get everybody sworn in, who's ever going to
Yes.
present testimony.
So if you're going to provide testimony tonight, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And then you'll just have to go on, you'll have to unmute. So then you could just say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And Ms. Barales Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll start with Mr. Hernandez. If you could just state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record.
Yes, my name is Alfonso Hernandez, and my address is 84 Prospect Street, Passaic, New Jersey. My last name is Hernandez.
Okay, great, thank you. And Ms. Abril Barales Garcia?
Hi, good evening. My name is Abril Barrales. My last name is spelled Barrales. My address is at 41 Summer Street, Passaic, New Jersey.
Thank you. And Mr.
Oh, did you call me?
Yes, sorry, I'm
Oh.
sorry.
All right. Yes, my name is Vicente Varela. It's spelled Vicente, and my last name is Varela, spelled Varela. And I live at 584 Main Avenue in Passaic.
All right, and could you provide the board with some background on your qualifications and licensure?
Sure. I graduated from NJIT in 2005. I received my license in 2014, and I've appeared before many boards throughout northern New Jersey.
And your license is current and in good standing?
Yes.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Barrel's qualifications? Okay, Mr. Barrett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hernandez, could you just give a brief overview of how you'll be operating the restaurant if this application is approved?
Yes, sure. Good evening, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to present my business proposal to bring iChihuahua to your wonderful community. My name is Alfonso, as I just said it, and I am the owner of this Mexican fusion restaurant, which highlights on creating delicious, high-quality food while fostering a strong connection with the community we serve. iChihuahua is a simple concept. It's just going to be the third location for this company, and we are very easy to operate because it's only going to be an establishment to just prepare food. All the food is going to be like pre-prepared in our location in Passaic. And iChihuahua is more than just a restaurant. We specialize in fresh, flavorful burritos, quesadillas, tacos, and aguas frescas, all made with quality ingredients and a lot of heart. Our most popular item is California Burrito, and it has been a favorite among our customers. And I think, well, I'm sure that your community is going to love it. Our mission is not just to serve food, but to give back to the community. At iChihuahua, we value being active participants in local events and initiatives. In the past, we have sponsored school programs, supported local cultural celebrations, and hosted community building activities. We believe in becoming a positive force in every community we join, creating jobs, supporting local vendors, and providing a welcoming environment for families and the individuals alike. We are fully committed to meeting and exceeding health and safety standards and to operating responsibility. Our takeout focus model ensures that we minimize waste and maintain a clean, efficient operation. Additionally, we prioritize hiring local talent and aim to be a source of pride for the community. I am excited about the opportunity to bring iChihuahua to your city and to contribute to its cultural and economic vibrancy. I am confident that this venture will not only thrive, but also become a beloved part of the community. Thank you for the time and consideration that you're having with us.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hernandez. Now, could you tell the board what will the hours of operation be?
It will be from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
That would be 7 days a week?
That'll be 7 days a week.
And how many employees do you anticipate having?
Total of 5. Will be 2 in the first shift and 2 in the second shift, and 1 extra person in between.
And you indicated that this will be entirely takeout, so there's no tables, no chairs.
No, it's not going to be tables and no chairs, as our buying persona is from 12 years old to like 30 years old. They love to order food through all these applications like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. And we're going to be serving mostly like these kind of sales.
I see. And then how do your deliveries take place? How do you get the pre-cooked food to your establishment?
Well, the food is taken with our own vehicle. As I said before, the food is going to be weighed and put in portions and everything ready for this place just to prepare to our customers. And we're going to bring in like this delivery in our own vehicle, just like maybe twice a week. And the deliveries are going to be performed by the applications, mostly like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub to the house of our customers.
So for the products that you're using on site, you're indicating that you're going to be delivering them from your other locations in your own vehicle?
Yes.
And what type of vehicle is that?
It's a minivan.
Okay. And typically what hours, during what hours would those deliveries take place?
It will be in the morning, maybe from 10 a.m. to noon.
So nothing earlier than that, or nothing in the evenings?
No, not at all.
I see. I don't believe I have any further questions for Mr. Hernandez at this time.
Okay, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Go to our professionals, Mr. Zabo.
It's rather straightforward. There's some issues regarding the dumpster and the parking situation, which we'll get into with the architect, I presume, and Mr. Costa will certainly also address that issue.
Okay. Mr. Costa, any questions for the applicant?
Again, the only question, maybe I missed, you're not going to be cooking on the premises at all? Everything's
Yeah, we are not going to be like, our menu is very simple. It's only burritos, Mexican sandwiches, and aguas frescas. It's not that we're going to be cooking like heavy food and anything like that. Everything comes like already like seasoned and portioned just to plate the dishes that the customer ordered. And they are going to be, yes, a flat grill, microwave, and some steamers, but it's nothing like big cooking there. It's just like preparing food.
No, the only question then maybe it's going to go to your architect, because I guess everything is remaining as is inside with the pizza ovens. That's what he's showing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That was my only question. I guess when the architect, Mr. Chairman, again, when it's food, two things: obviously garbage, and obviously the sewers. That's the two main things. So once we get into that, that would be the only question that I would have as far as grease traps. And as far as the pickup and with the garbage, and obviously you answered before deliveries.
Okay.
Well, then on that issue, Mr. Hernandez, have you arranged for a trash hauler as yet?
Not yet, but we are going to.
Okay. And you feel that the proposed dumpster that was shown on the plan, that would be adequate for your use?
Well, actually, we're going to use a very small one because we are very efficient on waste stuff that we are going to be making there. So
So what's proposed is more than adequate then for your needs.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do you
Mr.
know
Barrett?
what size? Do you know what size container it's going to be?
Ms. Varela, can you help on that one, or?
All right, I can defer that to the architect.
Mr. Barrett, I'm going to suggest maybe in lieu of going to the board at this point, maybe let's have the architect
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
make his presentation, and that might be a little bit more of an efficient way of getting around.
Thank you. Ms. Varela, can you tell us what renovations are planned for the space?
It'll be mostly cosmetic in the front. But in terms of the cooking equipment, we're looking to right now there's a very long range oven there. We would likely be looking to replace that with some flat tops. But the size of the hood itself would remain the same. Okay, so we are looking to keep the kitchen basically as it is, and the front counter would stay where it is as well. It would be mostly cosmetic, and we would, paint, and we would add displays for the menu. I can show you some pictures of what their other establishments look like, so you can kind of get a sense of what it would look like in the front. Yeah, but we're not looking to do any major construction here.
Okay, if you have a photo, you can share the screen and we'll just mark the exhibit. Mark it as exhibit A1, and you can just describe it to the board.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, this can be A1.
Okay.
So they have some menu displays at the top, and they have kind of like a little bit of a gray and yellow and red. That's their color scheme that they have going, like red, yellow, and gray. And you can see they have juices here. They have displays for like empanadas and things like that, so they can stay warm. And some registers on the sides. Okay, so this can be A1. And then the look of the exterior would be something like this. They have their logo. And they have their colors are like a yellow, like a golden yellow with red. Okay, at this particular location, they have seating, but here we're now looking to do seating. This can be B. And I can show one more. I just don't want to show too much seating. Let me show one more here.
Okay,
This is
this will be exhibit
another look.
A3.
This will be 3. A3. Oh, we did. A3. It's a little bit of a modern Mexican look. It's a fusion type of a restaurant.
And these 3 photos, you took all of the photos?
These are from the internet, from Yelp.
Okay. All right, I'll just give them today's date for the record. All right.
You can see in the back here, they have kind of like a chalkboard aesthetic where they're drawing different words and different items. That should be, to give you a sense of the look of what you'll see when you walk inside.
And then we've already had a couple of questions about the dumpster.
Yes.
What size is proposed?
Size of the dumpster. We have we have a space of 3 feet 3 inches by 9 feet. So I'm not sure exactly what size of the dumpster that is, but it's the same size that's used at the restaurant that's at the right side of that mall. So where there's another restaurant,
Yeah,
larger.
I forget the name of it, but second to last store there. So that's the same size enclosure that they have?
Does that kill him, Mr. Barrett?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, that's the same size, and they have a larger restaurant. Yeah, also here, it would be mostly takeout, so we don't expect too much trash here necessarily, but yeah, we would have the same size dumpster as the other restaurant.
And then you're prepared to have an enclosure of that dumpster?
Yes. It would be similar to that other dumpster as well. We would match the same enclosure.
And as a result, though, that would lead to the loss of 2 parking spaces, correct?
Yes, they would.
Okay. And then I don't know if you're familiar with the front of this particular location and the box sign that is there.
Mhm.
There's a
Yes.
current box sign.
Let me see, I'm looking for it. Correct. Yeah, so
So
we would want to put our name.
within the box. So same
Mm.
size, nothing's going to change there.
Yeah, same size.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm nothing further of Mr. Valera at this time.
Okay. Turn to our professionals, Mr. Zabo.
Yes. Because the use is considered takeout, did you recalculate the parking requirement based on 40 minimum for takeout and the remainder of the shopping center?
I didn't.
It was an issue raised by the board engineer, and we agreed that that calculation should be provided just to get a handle on what parking differential would be, if is there any.
I think that it's the same, it's the same use as was there before. That was takeout pizza. This is takeout Mexican food. Clearly using the fast food standard, which I believe is 40 spaces. And then if you take all the other spaces into account as well, well, again, we're gonna end up with 3 restaurants there. The Kelm, the sushi establishment at the end when they finally open. And then, of course, we don't know what's going to happen to the larger space. The landlord is with us tonight. And then we have there's a cleaners and I'm not even sure what the other establishment is.
Nail salon.
Now,
Oh,
salon.
Nelson. Okay, thank you. And again, I think that certainly we can come up with a calculation. I'm sure as to what the exact number would be. But I think that based on everyone's own experience, to my recollection, the only time there was an issue there with parking was when I believe it was when the Asian market initially opened, and on the weekends, it was on Saturdays, I should say. It was rather hectic there. since that time, even after the initial rush with the Asian market, things calmed down, and there's always been adequate parking. Again, if you need an exact calculation, I
Well,
don't think
let me ask it another way. I recognize that there was a takeout there before, and there's a takeout now, and no variance was required previously. Do you recall the rationale or the basis of that? Do you know?
I don't recall exactly, although I did represent them. That was 5, 6, 7 years ago. I forget. I believe, again, it was just a simple recognition that there's adequate parking at that strip mall for all of these uses. But I honestly don't recall.
No,
the
it's fine. I
testimony.
mean, it'll be up to the board to determine whether, based on the use or the ordinance, whether you're going to require that calculation just to get a handle on what the parking might be. That's up
I
to the
understand.
board. Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zabo. Mr. Costa.
Yeah, just to go back to the parking. All right, understood, because I guess the plan said there were 10 patrons. I guess maybe there was a question whether or not it was going to be sit down, not sit down, with the tables, not tables. So we're past that. With the dumpster you're taking away too, are there going to be any dedicated spaces for this restaurant, this use, or it's just going to be shared parking by all?
I believe, I don't know what's part of the lease. I haven't seen the lease. Perhaps the landlord might better answer that. Mr. Zalo, he has not yet been sworn in, but he is present, because I did ask him to join us to speak to the issue about the additional handicap spaces, although I believe we've been through that issue before, and unless there's new construction, that regulation would not necessarily apply, but we might be able to address that anyway, in part.
All right, well, we can have him be sworn if Mr. Is it Shazo? Golan Shazo? So if you just have to go on mute. If you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record.
Golan Chazo, 1315 Elmore Place, Fort Lee, New Jersey, 07024.
Okay, and you're the landlord for the shopping plaza?
Yes, I'm the new landlord for the shopping plaza. We purchased this property around the end of December of last year.
All right, and you heard the question about the shared parking or
Yes, I did.
dedicated spaces, so could you
Yes.
speak to that, please?
Yes. So basically, the way that the shopping center been working all the time, there is no assigned parking for each restaurant or each space. We have 115 parking there, and everyone that coming in getting base of space availability, and then they coming in and they going out. Even when the pizzeria was there, was not any assigning parking space for them. Not something that I know.
All right, so
But none of the leases dedicate any spaces to any particular tenant.
Correct.
So, again, through the chair. So basically, takeout was there with the pizzeria, same here. The pizzeria didn't have a dumpster though, Tom?
I think it
They
did
That's it.
against the back
Against-
entrance to what was the supermarket, but it
That's what
wasn't enclosed.
Okay, all right. So obviously, this is an improvement to enclose it.
Right.
And then, again, I'm probably gonna ask you this question. When the sushi was approved many years ago, obviously, I think it's taking place now. I'm not sure. There was people working, and then it doesn't
Yes.
seem anybody's working there again. There were some stuff that they had to do there that obviously never got completed. Is that gonna happen? From my understanding?
Wasn't that when the new fence was required and all?
There was a new fence from my recollection. There was
The new
obviously
fan,
came up but I thought there was some exterior work that was gonna be done on that side. I couldn't find the resolution today. And actually, I spoke to the chairman later on this afternoon. I believe he was on the board. I just don't remember off the top of my head, and I literally said to say, now I'm putting everything in the computer, Tom, so.
No problem. I'll get you a copy of the resolution. I'm not at the
And
office.
again, if there's anything there that is gonna get done at that point, or needs to get done for
I'd
this.
be lying, Rob, I'd be lying if I told you yes or no.
What's that? Welcome.
I'll
That's-
be happy to share the resolution though, as soon as I put my hands on it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I think
And
there were a series of site improvements that had been made. I think there was a condition of that approval.
All right,
Right.
and we'll address them, you know.
I just looked through my email. I actually have a copy of it. From when it was done. If anyone wants me to email it to them.
2018, Ryan?
Public hearing December 2019. is what this
19,
says.
okay.
Sendai Sushi. It was the sushi and Korean barbecue, I think. Is that
Correct.
Mhm.
So I have a copy of it here if anyone needs it to be forwarded along.
And Tom, you'll just coordinate with the landlord to address those things?
Yes,
As long as it gets addressed in that, then we have to put a burden on this, but it's up to the board if they want to.
but if we encounter an issue, we'll have to come back, that's all. But I don't anticipate that will be the case.
And then again, just getting back to it, obviously a dumpster with a dumpster enclosure, you talked about that. The only other thing, if they are gonna cook on premises, which now it sounds like they will, obviously, the grease traps are important, and to make sure that the grease doesn't get into the sewer system. And to make sure that the lateral is in good shape, that it can handle any additional flows or whatever they're doing on site. And that would be it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Costa. Let me turn now to the board for questions. Ms. Boland, can I start with you?
Sure. I do have a question about the signage. So if you plan on using the existing sign, then you're not requesting any kind of a variance for signage. Is that right?
That's correct. We're gonna use the existing box because that shopping center, those signs were approved in the 90s, I believe.
Okay.
And I do have a copy of that resolution too that I can provide.
The reason I'm asking is some of the photos that were shown, there was a lot of stickers or signage on the window, on the actual glass panels. And I believe that would be signage as well. So I
Right.
just want to go on record that you're not looking for that.
Now, if we were planning on doing something along those lines, we'd have to come back.
Okay. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boland. Mr. Gibbons?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I noticed that in the, I think it was 1A, or maybe not, they had painted the brick red. Is there an intention either in the petitioner or in the landlord to change the facing of the building in any way, other
No.
than replace the sign?
No. If anything, that might be on the inside, but not on the outside.
And I'd like to just emphasize what Ms. Boland said, that signage in the windows is signage, and we're not granting that because we do have a problem in River Edge with other businesses trying to take advantage of that. And I just want to make sure that's on the record that that would not be something tolerated.
Understood.
My last question is, it goes to the parking, and I don't know if this would go to the petitioner, the landlord, or the architect. But right now, that property has a former supermarket that's closed. Is the calculation for parking anticipating the future opening of that space? Because it would seem to me that that should be part of the calculation, even though it's currently not open. I don't know, maybe Mr. Barrett someone can please expound on that.
When we appeared back in 2019, Mayor, the plan that was submitted showed that, at least as to retail space, if the entire strip mall were retail space, there would be 125 spaces required. And as you heard Mr. Shazo say, there are currently 115. So there would be a shortage with entire, retail use. But it was calculated back then because the gross area is 21,537 square feet. And then we went through the calculation as per the ordinance. And that's where we came up with the 125.
So, Mr. Barrett, just for clarity's sake, what you're saying is that anticipation of a fully open property would only be off by a certain amount, and that's
Correct.
anticipated.
Right.
Now, the variance of 2019 was 125, but we're now losing 2 spaces. It's minimalistic, but we are reducing from 125 to 123. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think that, well, actually, no, 115 down to 113 then.
115, 113. We needed 125.
Right.
So the difference, instead of being 12 parking spaces, now 14 parking spaces.
Right. And I believe that there is a future improvement anticipated. And again, perhaps Mr. Shazo could share that.
Well, I would like that if he could, because we would really like to know what the new owner is anticipating for the property, if he can share that.
Mr. Shazo, you and I had a conversation the other day.
Yes,
about-
I hear the conversation. So
Yes.
so basically, for the bigger space, we do trying to get a supermarket there, but the way that the things going on right now with supermarket, they don't want 14,000 or 13,000 square feet. They're all asking for 26, 27. They all wants to be a big stores. So I don't see a supermarket coming there to the spot. So we're trying to work with my architect to subdivide it to couple smaller spaces that it'll be more use of needs, like taekwondo center or any other kind of service stores that can be. In the front, there is a place that used to be the supermarket cars that was in the front. I believe it's taking a space of 2 parking space or one or maybe a handicap parking space there. It's a cement area there that I'm planning to remove and bring one more parking spot over there. We're working on it. We purchased the property. We do want to fix all around and make it nicer. Things going in progress. The sushi place, working on the place as we're talking right now. I believe in 4 months he will be open for business. It takes a little bit longer time than I was thinking, but we are in a progress to do some improvement there. I'm trying to work. We do have a bigger company that wants to take the place. I don't want them there because I don't think that that's what we need over there right now. And I'm working on it. If I have people that renting the big space right now, as of now, no. But I believe in a couple months we'll get a better pictures on it.
That satisfies my questions. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilman Glass.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Craig.
Just one or two questions. I guess one question. I know I heard that it's going to be, primarily takeout. Most of the customer base is going to be using Uber, DoorDash, whatever types of delivery service. Any feel for approximately how much traffic is going to go through on that, as far as how many deliveries per hour, at your peak times?
Mr. Hernandez, where are you?
Yes. Well, like there is sometimes and during the day that people have lunch or dinner, And there is like a periods of time that, by example, by between 1 and 3 p.m., I will say that we will have, I would say like 20 to 30 deliveries per hour. And after those times, it's going to be like slower. And the busiest times of the day will be like from 1 to 3 and like maybe like 5 to 7. And after that is like kind of a slow.
Okay. All right. So, but at peak times, like 20, 25 deliveries, something like that.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing, I just want to make sure I'm clear. The pizza oven is staying there, but it's not, there's no plan to use that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then where the fryers and the hot tops are going, that's just where you're heating up the pre-prepared food?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I had. I did have one comment though, just maybe other board members might remember. I thought when La Toscana went in, they had seating, so that was a dine-in restaurant. It wasn't just takeout. Is that correct?
I don't believe they ever had dine in there. I think they had dine in across the
Yeah,
street.
across the street.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It was.
Yep.
I think they might have had a chair or two just to sit and wait for your pizza, but
Yeah.
you
No,
never came.
the Alzheimer's is kicking in. I was thinking about across the street. So, okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cray. Mr. Canigo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No questions on the Mexican, and welcome to the new landlord. That spot has been empty for a long time, so I'm just thrilled to hear that you're trying to fill it, and you realize that this town really needs, the spot to be filled. So welcome, and we're rooting for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Canigo. Mr. Pfeffer.
No questions. The only thing I'll say is, having just returned from a trip to Mexico, I am looking forward to sampling the burritos. So welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Gaudier.
Thank you. I have a few questions. You said the food isn't going to be prepared there. It's going to be prepared in Passaic.
Yes. Well, actually, it's going to be season it and put it in portions. Just
It's
to
going to be raw
prepared.
though? Is it going to be raw or cooked?
It's going to be frozen and cold.
Okay, so will it be cooked food that's frozen or raw?
Raw.
Okay, and then frozen after
Yeah.
it's portioned.
Yes.
And then you said you're going to transport it, I guess, frozen.
Yes.
And then you would store it. When you transport it, you said you're going to transport it in a minivan. I guess you're going to keep it in coolers or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. And then you would be cooking it in the food establishment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And would you then you're cooking it there, would it be then cooked to order?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And all right. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Salva.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. I believe that all of my questions have also been answered at this point.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayor.
just one question. It's probably been answered and I just missed it in the dialogue. When will the deliveries be made? And what kind of a vehicle? Is it going to be a panel van? Is it going to be a straight job? Is it going to be what sort of vehicle and at what time will the deliveries be made? Maybe it was said and I just missed it.
I think there was testimony that it was going to be made by minivan between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 noon. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Good. Thank you. I'm sorry for that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. believe. I'm just scanning here. Yeah, all my questions have already been answered as well. So at this point, I will look for a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, any abstain? Okay, at this time, we are now open to the public for comment on this application. Ms. Steinle, I will ask if you could do the check to see if we have anybody. I think you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yes, there are 2 members of the public present. So if you're interested in making a comment or asking a question, you can press the raise hand button on Zoom now. I don't see any hands.
Okay. At this time, then I'll look for a motion to close to the public.
Move to close to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Cray.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cody. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained? We are now closed to the public. I did have one question, Mr. Barrett. I wanted to ask, with regard to the trash pickups, do we have an estimated time for when those will occur and then how often?
Mr. Hernandez indicated that he has not yet contracted with a hauler. Certainly, we can arrange that they not be done before 8 o'clock in the morning because of its proximity to the residents. If that would be satisfactory with the board, he can certainly make that part of his contract with them.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable proposition. That would be the concern, of course, is that, because of the proximity to the residents there, that
Understood.
they not be disturbed. Okay. Any further comments, questions from the board or professionals? Okay. There being none, I will look for a motion on the application, please.
I'll make the motion. I will make the motion for the Ike Chihuahua Restaurant at 637 Kinderknack Road, Block 614, Lot 8.02, to be approved for their food handler's license. With that stipulation, with the garbage not to be picked up before 8. And I believe there was testimony to have the dumpster enclosed.
Correct.
Yes, so if I might add, there
Please.
was an agreement to enclose the dumpster to match the Killam restaurant, and I just asked that be coordinated with the board engineer and board planner, if that's all right. And that the applicant will work with the landlord, coordinate with the landlord to address the conditions in the Sendai Sushi application. And the applicant will maintain a grease trap and check the sewer laterals for the property or for the unit. And if there is additional signage proposed, the applicant would need to come back, and that includes window decals and signs. That the trash pickup will not be before 8 a.m. and the new parking space count will be 113 spaces.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pfeffer.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeffer,
Yes.
Mr. Knigo,
Yes.
Councilman Glass,
Yes.
Mr. Gautier,
Yes.
and Mr. Salvo.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you all.
Welcome to River Edge.
Congratulations. Welcome to River Edge. Best of luck.
Thank you to all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Rob, I'll get you that tomorrow. Good night now.
Good night, Mr. Barrett.
Night.
Okay, we're going to move further on our agenda this evening through old business to our discussion. There's actually going to be two items there. The first item there is a recommendation that's been presented by or suggested for an increase in the zoning escrow residential for zoning applications. And that increase be, I believe it's about $450 at this point, but the increase now would be to have that amount go to $900. And
Correct.
maybe I'll ask Mr. Alter, who's our clerk, if he would just give us some additional background if he can.
Yeah, it seems that the $450 is quite insufficient for the escrow, since most professionals have fees that have increased over the last few years. I find myself constantly chasing after residents to deposit additional escrow monies. So I think doubling the fee or actually a little more to 900 would resolve a lot of those issues. And I checked with some of our neighboring municipalities, and most of them have around $1,000 for residential fees. So this is escrow. Whatever we don't spend, they get returned in the long run. So it's just for what we use.
Thoughts, comments from the board?
How quickly are those funds returned to them when it's not used?
It could take a few months because I have to get an ordinance to release the funds. So I have to check with all the professionals to make sure there's no outstanding invoices. And then I represent it to the mayor and council for a resolution. So it could take a few months.
And obviously there's no way around that. That's just what it is.
Sorry?
I assume there's no way around that. That's just the way it is. That's
No,
just the law.
yeah,
That's the way it has to
that's
work.
the procedure.
Okay, thanks.
And if I may, just for some background for the legal escrow, my firm does not charge a legal escrow for residential applications, only for commercial matters.
Is that typical for most municipalities, do you think?
No, most municipalities, there's an escrow for every application.
Okay, so there are circumstances where we're actually running into lower costs than other communities because of that.
Correct. So my firm just bills the general account for any residential work.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Anyone feel strongly against the proposed increase?
No, I guess just gut feel, doubling the costs just is a little bit of a shock to the system, right? For someone with a residential application. I mean, I get it. If that's what it costs, that's what it costs. But it just seems like a lot of money for a homeowner to have to shell out if they're doing a small, a small renovation or something, as opposed to, commercial development, somebody who's doing a residential development, but, a contractor this is part of his cost of business.
You'd be surprised at some of the smaller projects, the invoices they generate between engineering, planning, and legal professionals. They sometimes generate quite a bit more than you might think.
Yeah.
Hey, Ed, for context, how often are you going through the entire escrow amount on an application?
Month.
Okay, so more often than not, that escrow amount, the $450 level is being used entirely. Okay.
Right now, yeah, it gets used up very quickly.
Okay.
Well, to your concern, Mr. Cray, I mean, I guess it's better to ask for 900 and give 400 back than ask for 450 and then say we need another 2 or, whatever. So at least the homeowner can plan and know what it is instead of expecting it to be X and then it's $600 more or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it also
and-
keeps our professionals happy because they get paid. Right now, they do not get paid until I collect the additional escrow because we have no money in the account to pay them. So this will increase the quickness which we pay our bills.
which helps in that those funds, whatever's not used, will go back to the applicant ultimately. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I just ask how long the current amount has been in effect? When was the last increase, if we know?
2021.
Okay.
And
So
what was-
presumably some fees have gone up since then.
Yeah, I would hazard a guess that the cost for professionals has gone up since that time.
Also, I think we request a lot from the professionals. We're asking for a lot. We want to try to keep everything tight. So they should get paid for what we're asking them to do.
At times you don't realize everything that we do as a condition of a resolution has a charge associated with it. We just say maybe we should get an engineering report on some aspect of the development. That generates invoices. Everything really generates invoices. Nobody works for free. So.
Okay. So based on what I'm hearing here, the recommendation is that the board is in support for the proposed increase, and we'll turn it over to the borough administrator to facilitate. Is that the?
Yes.
Okay. So if you need something in writing from the board, Ed, which I imagine you will, other than the minutes, certainly we can provide for that. The other item, just to make mention of very quickly this evening, was just just in terms of what transpired last week with conflicts of interest, and to the extent that any of the board members run into a situation, or professionals run into a situation where there may be a conflict with hearing an application. It's important just to make that determination analysis as soon as possible. We are going to have because Costa Engineering has a conflict with the application that was heard last meeting. There is going to be a substitute engineer that will be put in place to assist the board in reviewing that application. So I just want to make the board aware of that. But just for future reference, if there's, I know this doesn't happen all the time, certainly, but when it does, we make sure that the determination be made as early on in the process as possible, just so we can have the proper substitutes in place to allow the board to proceed in handling its business. And Ms. Steinle, I don't know if you wanted to say anything further on that point.
Yes, I can just elaborate a bit further. So generally, conflicts occur based on the 200-foot list, which is an automatic conflict under the municipal land use law. If you own property within 200 feet of an application, you have to recuse yourself. The conflict itself is with the individual, either board member or professional, but it can be imputed onto the professional's company as well, like with Mr. Costa. There's also other conflicts of interest, which are covered under the local government ethics law, which could be direct financial interest, direct personal interest, indirect financial interest, or indirect personal interest. So that could be if you know a person who is an applicant, if you're related to a person who's an applicant, if you are in a business venture with a person who's an applicant or a company, any of those things could trigger a conflict that would require recusal. And if you have a question about a conflict, please reach out to me prior to the meeting, because it's much easier to look into things, because it's all fact sensitive. before the meeting than try and figure it out on the fly right when we're there. Generally, I would say it's better to step aside if there's a potential issue, even if it might be minor, just to avoid the appearance of impropriety. And generally, we expect that the board member or professional to take it upon themselves to offer their recusal instead of having the board to force anyone's hand. So that's generally our procedure here. And if you have questions, please reach out to me, or we could discuss them tonight too.
Questions or comments on the board? Okay. If no one has anything further, I will look for a motion to close the meeting.
I'm sorry, Mr. Caslin, did we want to take a vote on recommending the change in escrow, or was that agreed upon? I don't remember.
Do we need a vote, or was it more of a recommendation? If we need a vote, we can certainly take it.
I think in the past we've taken a voice vote, just for
Okay.
the record, for Ed to take back to the council.
That's fine with me. So that being said, all in favor of and support of the recommendation that the zoning escrow for residential applications.
One second, Mr. Caslin. Mr. Councilman Glass and I think since this is a vote that's coming back to the council, we will abstain. If Ms. Stinley, would that be appropriate?
That's fine. You can abstain. And we just need a motion and second. I didn't get that.
Okay, so we'll do, okay. So let's reset.
I'll make a
take a
motion.
All
I'll make a
right,
motion to push this to the mayor and council for the increase in the legal fee,
Okay.
legal escrow.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Ballin. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained?
Abstain.
Mr. Mayor, and the councilman have abstained.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Make sure we get the I's dotted and the T's crossed. All good. With that, anything further?
Chairman, just one thing. It's
Yes, sir.
it was like 6 degrees, 8 degrees. If anybody sees, because we did a lot of paving at the south end of town, if anybody sees anything leaking in the street, valves, anything, call DPW, call the borough, call the police, call me. Because obviously yesterday, Kinderkamack Road, close, towards the south end, they were there all morning, close Kinderkamack. And there's no question, it will more than likely, it'll happen in the next couple of days. So if you see something, let's get to it before it creates a bigger problem. All right, but thank you. And thank you again, for everybody.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Costa. I'll look for a motion to close the meeting, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Codier. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pfeffer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? We are closed at 8:40 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.
Good night,
Take
everyone.
care.